should the 49ers give Deebo Samuel what he wants and trade him? I mean, do you think – because it seems like right now the reports from Josina Anderson is that the Niners are asking for so much, it almost seems like they don't intend to trade him, and they're going to use the leverage they have. He's under contract for another year. They can franchise tag him. Do you think they should play hardball here and sort of keep him against his will? They're within their rights to do so.
No. Do not play hardball with this guy. Why? Because ultimately you're going to lose in different ways. You're either going to piss him off and send a bad vibe through the rest of your locker room. Everybody knows that he took one for the team, and now you're leaving him high and dry and not paying him market rate. So the last thing you want is to franchise him against his will and have a player who's a joyous player now does not want to be used how he's best utilized with the ball in his hands. And every time you hand him the ball, he's going to look at you cross-eyed, and you got people whispering in the locker room about discontent and this and that. And, the management won't be there to back you. It's a circus that can just tumble out of control. So no, be decisive, find out what he actually wants, figure out if you want to pay it. If you don't, get him on the trade market and get the best deal you can. And it'll all come to a head, my guess, by Monday or Tuesday of next week.
I mean, I'm guessing the Niners could make this right if Kyle called him right now and was like, look, man, we're going to give you $25 million a year. We got you. If they would do that, I think this would probably go away, but they're not going to do that. And I think if the Niners think they can sort of keep Deebo Samuel against his will and he'll have to play to get that money, I don't think they'll ever get the 2021 version of Deebo Samuel ever again. That was locked in. He was playing through a lot of injuries. He was willing to do whatever they asked, running back, whatever. He's not going to do that ever again. He'll be a much worse player. And also, if they held on to him, it'll be like holding on to Jimmy. He's worth a lot now. The longer this goes on, the longer it drags on, his value goes down. The perception of him as a teammate goes down. If he doesn't play, if he misses time, all of it. I mean, your trade value goes nowhere. So I think if you're going to trade him, you got to do it now, right now.
And the Jets are sitting there, and Joe Douglas is in year 3. And there's a ton of pressure on him. He stated publicly, Grant, like 4 times this offseason that he's got to consider every possible trade. Mm-hmm. They get the longest playoff drought in the entire league. This is their go time. They got 4 picks in the top 38. You're never going to be staring at a better trade partner than them. Make the deal and get down the road and bite the bullet and take the hit. The fans are going to blame you and they're going to be pissed, but so be it. I mean, it's better to pop that pimple and move on than to sit there and live with it forever as what you're going to take your best offensive player. And now you're not going to feel comfortable handing him the ball because he doesn't want to do it anymore because you wouldn't reward him come contract time. I mean, it has a million different ways it could go south.
And does the new quarterback need the star wide receiver to be disgruntled and not want to be there? I mean, is that what anyone needs?
Exactly.
No, absolutely not. So should the Niners give Deebo Samuel what he wants to trade him? Absolutely not. Absolutely, yes. Yes, they absolutely should.
Trade him, but don't give him what he wants.
No,
and definitely don't sit there and try to power play him and say, you know what, here, flip the bird to you. We've got you under contract for $4 million. You know what that guarantees? That you're going to have a $4 million player whose heart's not into it and who's missing games because of soft tissue injuries again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have a bigger circus than you would have normally had just with Jimmy Garoppolo around. I mean, what an awful offseason so far. But
hasn't been good.
Hasn't been good. Ron says Parag is dragging this team down. Fire Parag and hire Larry. It's crazy to me that Larry is on NFL payroll.
Thank you.
Maybe after this show today. Murphy says Deebo has made $3 million after taxes and agents, $1.5 million on houses, $50K on watches, cars, jewelry, plus family entourage is probably close to broke right now. Okay. I still don't think that you're going to get him to sort of play in spite of the 49ers on the 49ers. Now, he could do this. He could hurt his own career. I think he's already doing that. But I don't think the Niners are going to get Deebo Samuel to do what he did last year against his will. It's not going to happen. Mark says, you think Deebo is mad at the way he wasn't using the NFC Championship game in the second half?
Ooh, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Probably. He was crying.
I'll say this. I'm mad about it.
Yeah, I'm mad about it.
I'm still mad about it. I'm still mad about the second half of the Super Bowl where he was the dominant player at halftime and touched it twice in the second half.
That's right. Ellis Morales says, I will always love Deebo for how fun he made it to be a 49ers fan the last couple of years, But with all due respect to the man, it's Viking funeral time. Light the pyre on fire and push it out to sea, get picks and get out. I think Larry and I agree on that. I mean, it's a shame that it got to this point. Larry seems to think it might be a blessing in disguise if you think Deebo Samuel's career won't have much longevity, and I have no idea. We'll see. If his career goes George Kittle's career has the same trajectory, then Larry's absolutely right on that. I think this is a shame. I think Deebo Samuel's going to have a really good career.
How many years, Grant? How many years? If I said to you, let's just say there was no discontent. Let's just say he's totally happy. How many years could he perform like he performed this last year? 1, 2, 3? How many more years could he do what he did this year?
Tops
3, 4. Okay.
I mean, theoretically, he could, if everything goes well and he doesn't play running back a lot, and he's just a wide receiver until he's about 29. It seems to me that in this age, when wide receivers hit 30, it's about the end.
Yeah.
It's about the
I would say 4 is optimistic. But
optimistic. Yeah, with the way he's been going, it could be none. It could be none at this point. Dr. Robert Anthony Jr. says, wonder what Kittle and Lance feel about this. Yeah, I'd love to know.
Players always side with players, so you can just bank on that.
Yeah, Murphy says, my feeling this whole time has been that Deebo hates California. He's a country boy. This isn't really about money. He wants to live somewhere else. He's trying to get himself traded. Send him to New York. Because he's a country boy? That doesn't make sense, Murphy.
No.
I think it's about money, personally. Usually
he took one for the team, and he wanted the team to have his back. And Parag's personal scoreboard is what motivates Parag, and Parag's handling the negotiation. And that's the story.
That's the story. And I think Deebo probably had no idea who Parag was. There wasn't a serious negotiation when he got his rookie contract. You're slotted.
Right.
This was you got to know
it's a boilerplate.
Get to know Parag. All he heard was the coaches saying, "You're the greatest. We love you. Thank you, Deebo. We love you, Deebo." Okay, well, they're not going to sign your contract. Oh well. Salvador Lozano says, "I love Deebo, but he's becoming a toxic type of player with the Instagram and his brother's tweets. It's getting more clear that he is the issue in these negotiations. Trade him, team first. Team first."
I don't think he's toxic. I just don't think an NFL player has a lot of avenues to communicate their discontent. I'm fine with everything he's done, from his brother's tweets to his scrubbing of his social media. You know what? That there's not a lot of moves in the I'm unhappy playbook for an NFL player. Give him a break. He's expressing how he feels.
Let's theoretically, hypothetically, let's say the Niners offered $18 million a year for Deebo, and he goes back to his agent and says it's ridiculous. And agent wouldn't be there, and the agent says, "I know 3 teams right now that would pay you $24 million a year. What are we going to do, Deebo? We got to get you out of San Francisco right now. They're ready to go. The Jets are ready to go. Now they'll have to work out trade compensation, but as far as financial compensation for you, I can get you way more in states where there's way less taxes. What do you say? Great. All right, let's get you out of San Francisco. Well, what are we going to do? Okay, start with Instagram, and if that doesn't work, we'll do this. Seems like it. I'm saying.
I mean, to me, if I'm the 49ers, how much convincing do you need? If the guy doesn't want to be there and he's made many indications that he doesn't want to be there, why you're not going to hold him against his will? And he's got value. It'd be one thing if you couldn't trade him, but they can trade him and they can get a lot for him. So they probably will.
Deebo and his agent must think they can get what they want elsewhere, and I bet they can. The Ramelia Sports Report says, so glad our front office isn't run like the Niners. Yeah, I don't have a life-size picture of the Rams drafting a player as good as Deebo and then letting this happen for whatever reason, letting the relationship deteriorate. I just don't see it happening with them. But their owner is worth 2.5 times what the Yorks are worth.
And maybe they're a little bit more tied together. To me, the 49ers look like 3 separate entities, Kyle, John, and Parag. They don't look like they're operating in concert.
I agree. And what's crazy about Parag, I'm going to talk about him more later, is you look in the media guide, it's online. He is in charge of the chief contract negotiator, A. 2, he's the architect for the salary cap. So that's how they're going to spend money now and in the future. And he oversees football analytics. So he's deciding who's important, what skill sets, what positions. Very scary. Very, very powerful person.
Very powerful person.
He's been there for about 22 years. Murphy says unless Lynch gets incredible value higher than Tyreek, where he clearly comes across as winning a trade, force Deebo to stay this year and franchise him next year, he can't afford to not play. Yeah, but he can play poorly and he can tank his own value. And then he's Jimmy Garoppolo. It's the guy you should have traded last year. I'm just saying.
I mean, think about it this way, too. What if they come to an agreement on a lesser figure, but Deebo's got, bad feelings about it? Even that's a bad situation for the Niners.
Yeah. Michael Schrader says the Niners built a team-first locker room. Deebo is now being a me-first guy. Bought a custom Deebo jersey week 1, 2019, but I am fine just letting him go. Go get a couple high picks and draft young. I know a lot of fans feel this way. How do you feel?
I don't think he's being a me-first guy. I just think it's his time to get paid, and they don't want to pay. He took one for the team. They're worried about his future. They're looking at it going, we didn't really think about this, but now we're going to use him as a running back. I'm kind of worried about how this deal looks on the back end. Yeah, well, you should have thought about that before you use him as a running back, or you should have had a conversation saying, guys, we can use him as a running back, but you know what? That means we have to take care of him. Are we prepared to do that? And I don't know that conversation was ever took place.
It's not Deebo's fault that the wide receiver market exploded.
No.
All right. I mean, how can he be Kittle want to be the highest paid tight end. Warner wanted to be the highest paid middle linebacker. These guys all have their professional pride. Deebo Samuel just wants to be paid as good as he is. And the Niners are looking for reasons to take money away from him. And it's insulting after what he did for this team. I totally get it. But at the same time, it's not fixable. Nick Brown says, name one coach that will get him the numbers as a wide receiver. He fits in the. How about Andy Reid? You put him on the Chiefs right now with Patrick Mahomes. You don't think he's going to go crazy if he stays healthy? I'm just saying. I mean, there's other good coaches out there.
And Nick, what are you saying? Are you saying that this guy's a product of the system? I mean, that's crap. There's no way he's a product of the system.
I don't think so, man. I mean, was it the system that gained 83 yards on 3rd and 20? I mean, did Kyle invent a new type of tunnel screen? I mean, I've seen tunnels. There's only a few. It was Deebo. It was freaking Deebo.
Kyle's a good play caller. Kyle's an offensive mastermind. Kyle's a terrific coach. But this guy's not going to go to the Jets and evaporate. He's going to be fine. He's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, he put up really good 1,400 yards with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 25 times a game. I think he can be okay. Now, I wouldn't expect him to be much when he's 32, but the next 4 years could be pretty good. Salasafati says, I don't think Parag is as big of a role as we think, i.e. Trent Williams. I think Shanahan wants him. This is happening because Deebo wants out. Possible.
Why does Deebo want out?
Who approached him with the initial offer?
Yeah, I think this is all about Parag.
My reporter's job is to make stories only people know the truth about. Situation is 49ers at Tory Dandy and Deebo. Reporter's job is to make stories only people know the truth about. Situation is what? At Tory Dandy? What's going on? Is Tory Dandy on Twitter?
Man, that just reminded me. I got to go make myself a word salad.
I know it's so what? But hold on. Tell me Tory Dandy's on Twitter. Okay, let's see what he said. Nothing recently. I don't know. Okay, sorry. You're gonna have to help me out with that one.
Yeah.
Moving on. Seth Harvey says that Rams fan always in here obsessed, laughing my ass off. Get out of here, Grant. You truly don't think the wide receivers in this draft are good enough as Deebo, Olave, Wilson? What do you think?
Olave is Dante Pettis with a better 40 time. I mean, he's that weak at the line. I mean, seriously, if you told me Olave was looking for me and wanted to kick my ass, I wouldn't even be nervous. I'd be like, wow. That guy is not a physical player at all. He's going to get rerouted constantly. He's going to get overdrafted based on an incredible 40 time, and he's going to be somebody's third best wide receiver who's a former first-round pick in 3 years.
Hold on. I'm going on Twitter real quick. Hold on. I think we need to go. Hold on. I think you need to go. I'm blocked from Deebo. Can you go on Twitter real quick and see what he's tweeting? I think he's tweeting things. We'll keep going because Santiago says Twitter, Deebo Twitter right now. What is going on? Michael Durant says Navarro Bowman gave his leg for the organization when he was disgruntled and asked for a trade. The Niners released him. They used the reason as a once-in-a player. Says he's out. He's out. Deebo wants out. Goodbye. That's true. They did the same thing with Navarro Bowman. Voice ad agency says 137 rush yards, 154 receiving yards, 85 returning yards. I'll say it again, Grant. 47% of our total offense in the playoffs. Tell me if I'm wrong. You're right. 47% of the offense in the playoffs. Keith Murphy says his job is to be me first in the offseason. I only care that he's a team guy in the season. This may be Deebo's only opportunity to really cash in.
Here's the Deebo tweeted out, reporters' jobs is to make stories only people know the truth about the situation is the 49ers and Tory Dandy and Deebo Samuel. Tory Dandy is the managing partner and head of CAA Sports. So that's basically his agent. What basically saying is that nobody knows anything. The reporters don't know anything. Only people know things are me and my agent and the Niners.
Jeff Darlington literally said that he talked to Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Deebo.
That gives him wiggle room to take whatever offer and kiss and make up.
Sweet. Do it. Do it, Deebo. Honestly, if the Niners could work this out with Deebo, I really feel like if they have Deebo this year, they could win 10, 11, 12 games. Without him, I don't know about that. Maybe if they get Jameson Williams and he magically recovers from an ACL immediately and he's great, then they could do it. But they would have to really get some magical production from Kittle, Ayuk, Jawan Jennings. I don't know. I
have no problem trading Deebo because I think there's a good group of running backs and wide receivers in this draft, but there's a lot of misses. There's a lot of landmines, and you better get the right guy.
Every year. Brian Bunny says Deebo could just want to be closer to his family and not take a big California tax hit on his contract extension. I mean, once the Niners weren't willing to reward his sacrifice, there could be a million reasons not to be here. A million reasons.
Do you notice that he was not unhappy until the contract negotiations started?
That's right. So Keith Murphy says Tory Dandy is about business. He's been in the game a while. Got Chris Godwin $360 million coming off an ACL. Yeah, he just got Denzel Ward like $100 million. He's not messing around, and he's not going to let AJ Brown and Deebo Samuel get lowballed. D Wood 7300 says he doesn't want to be a hybrid. That's how he became a star. What now?
Wow. Well, that's a great one because that to me is like if you're the 49ers. Do you really want this player? If he's going to have his agent in his ear constantly saying, hey, man, every time they hand it to you, your career's on the line, and suddenly he doesn't want the ball handed to him at any price going forward,
that's a problem.
I don't know that I want to pay him anything approaching his asking price if he no longer wants to run with the ball in his hands because, in my opinion, that's what he's best at.
You know what? That would be a problem. I'd like to get a little bit of clarification on that from Deebo Samuel.